A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
And I am Tilina Udayaratna. We begin with a look at the headlines for tonight.
The Posun Full Moon Poya Day is commemorated while adhering to health protective guidelines. The State Posun Festival takes place at the historic Mihintale sacred site. The President says that the concept of state, based on the teachings of Lord Buddha and the 10 royal virtues, will be considered as an exemplary perception on present-day governance. The Prime Minister says that the time has come for the people to plan their future in accordance with the Buddhist philosophy. A special statement from the President at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow. Travel restrictions will be lifted at 4 a.m. tomorrow.
First off, we take a look at news here at home. The State Posun Festival was held this evening centering the Mihintala sacred site. The event was held under the patronage of the Mahasangha and with the participation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The State Posun Festival was organized under the guidance of chief prelates of the tri-sects while adhering to health protective guidelines. Following his arrival to the festival, the President engaged in religious observances. The chief prelates of the tri-sects had issued messages marking the festival. The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa had also issued a message for the festival. The Dhamma sermon was delivered by Chief Incumbent of the Mihintala Rajamaha Viharaya, Venerable Dr. Walava Hengunuvave Dhammaratana Thera. The Mihintala Aloka Puja was declared open by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Sri Lanka Mobitel had created a 3D model of the Mihintala sacred site on behalf of the devotees who are unable to pilgrimage the sacred site due to COVID-19. The 3D model is available on the internet for the devotees to observe, and it was declared open by the President. Ministers Dr. Kehelia Ramukwalla, Dr. Bandula Gunawardana, S.M. Chandrasena and State Ministers Duminda Disanayaka and Shehan Semasinghe were present at the occasion.
Today is Posun Full Moon Poya Day, which marks the meritorious advent of Arahat Mahinda to Sri Lanka. This is the highest national religious festival that marks the foundation of the Buddhist civilization in the country and the establishment of the Buddha Sasana in the island. Arahat Mahindu establishing the Buddha Sasana in this country, his chanting the Chullahatti Padopama Sutta to a group of about 40,000 persons, including King Devanampiya Tissa, and the Samachatti Pariyaya Sutta to the deities, and several other important events are connected to Posun Full Moon Poya Day. Under the guidance of Arahat Mihidu, the king and the people of the country observed the Panchasila with Tisarana and became Buddhists. With that, social ethics, the economy, thoughts and wishes of the people and attitudes were nourished according to the new philosophy. A new vision which was useful to the sustaining of society was established together with the revolutions of this philosophy. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa engaged in relevant religious observances today in accordance to guidelines issued by health authorities to observe religious rites from home during the pandemic period. The relevant observances were conducted at the Carlton residence in Tangol. Venerable Pulvatte Pemananda Thera from Tangol Vanavasi Kuda Viharaya conducted religious rites for the Prime Minister. The 211th edition of the Amadam Sicilas series of Dhamma discussions, initiated under the concept of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, was held at the Carlton residence at Tangol. Today's sermon was delivered by Chief Incumbent of Dombawala Sri Saddharma Gupta Pirivena in Udugampala Rajakiya Pandita Venerable Kobbavala Meda Lankara Thera. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and his spouse Mrs. Shriranti Rajapaksa were present at this occasion to observe the sermon and engage in religious rites. The event was held under health protective guidelines. The State Posun Festival and the live telecast of the National Television's Saddharma Varsha religious program were conducted throughout the day from historic site of worship Mihintale. The programs were organized with the guidance of Chief Incumbent of Mihintale Rajamahaviharya, Venerable Dr. Valawa Hangunu Dhammaratana Thera. A number of programs including paying homage to the Buddha, Dhamma sermons, Dhamma discussions, Bodhi Puja were included in this. Personal Secretary to the President Sugeshwara Bandara was present for the religious programs held this morning. Former Northern Provincial Governor and Chairman of ChannelEye Rupavahini Corporation Reginald Kure and Director General Ajit Naragala were present at this occasion.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the arrival of Arahat Mahinda Thera introduced the unique concept of state governance based on the 10 royal virtues, also known as the Dasa Raja Dharma. Issuing a statement to mark the Posun full moon Poya Day, the President pointed out that the concept of state based on the teachings of Lord Buddha and the 10 royal virtues will be considered as an exemplary perception in the governing process to drive the country towards prosperity. Issuing the Posun full moon Poya Day's message, the President emphasized that the Mahinda Gamanaya is the most religious significant milestone in the history of Sri Lanka. Moreover, the values that the nation have acquired socially, culturally and politically from the arrival of Arahat Mahinda Thera are immense. At present, the country is unable to celebrate the Mahinda Gamanaya following the ancient traditions, including the Posun Mahaperahara, Pandals and Dansel. However, the Mahasangha has given guidance on how the devotees should venerate Arahat Mahinda Thera following the teachings of the religion while being safe from COVID-19. The message of the President has further pointed out that the nation should commit to making their lives meaningful according to the teachings of Lord Buddha while paying attention to those guidelines. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa also issued a message to mark the Posun full moon Poya Day. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that the visit of Arahat Mahinda Thera to Sri Lanka, who guided the nation to live in harmony, will be remembered with reverence on this auspicious day of Posun Poya. The birth of a civilized nation with noble qualities, Sila, Maitri, Gilanopastana and Agantuka Satkara, and the nation to be known as the Dharma Deepa and the granary of the East on the cultural basis of the village, the temple, the tank and the Dagaba was in the light of Buddhism bestowed on the country by Arahat Mahinda Thera. The Mihintale sacred area, which used to be full of devotees on Posun Poya, is different this year. He pointed out that the public need to protect themselves from COVID-19 that is spreading around the world, claiming many lives. His belief is that the difficult time is important to the nation to be guided and nurtured with the teachings of Buddhism and to plan the future life according to Lord Buddha's philosophy. Issuing a statement on this Posun Poya Day, opposition leader Sajit Premadasa said that the assistance received from the arrival of Arahat Mahinda Thera towards humanity, compassion, kindness and social justice is immense. He indicated that Buddhism is a long-lasting philosophy with a close relation with nature, which has been exemplified with the present consequences. In his message, Minister Kehelia Ramukwella has pointed out that the Theravadi Buddhist philosophy is relevant to the present-day world than ever before. The spiritual significance of Buddhism has positively contributed towards emotional stability amidst COVID-19. Now, in other news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is expected to deliver a special statement to the nation tomorrow, according to the President's media division. The President's address to the nation will telecast live on the national television at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow.
93 prison inmates have received presidential pardon, marking the Posun full moon Poya Day. Prison's Commissioner General Tushara Upuldania said that former parliamentarian Duminda Silva is also among the pardoned inmates. 16 inmates who had been imprisoned under the Prevention of Terrorism Act have also received the presidential pardon. Prisons Commissioner General Tushar Upuldania said that the pardoned inmates were from 6 prisons. Prisons Commissioner General Tushar Upuldania said that 16 inmates who had been imprisoned under the Prevention of Terrorism Act were in the remand custody for a long period. He added that they were imprisoned following the judicial process. He further said that these inmates were pardoned due to the good behavior and active involvement in the rehabilitation activities during their time in the prison.
Travel restrictions imposed in the country will be lifted at 4 a.m. tomorrow. However, inter-provincial travel restrictions will remain effective except for essential services. Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawardena said that the health authorities have observed the failure of the public to adhere to health protective practices and travel restrictions. Accordingly, the travel restrictions will be reimposed in the country. Therefore, he requests the general public to refrain from leaving homes unless for an essential purpose. The Director General further said that special travel restrictions have been imposed for the Western province. He added that many trading stalls in the province have been opened for business without adhering to these guidelines. Therefore, the relevant health authorities have been instructed to sternly look into these incidents and take adequate measures in this regard. Police media spokesman Senior DIG Ajit Rohan has said that orders related to inter-provincial travels are still effective and officers in charge of police divisions have been instructed to conduct prompt raids to investigate on illegal public gatherings. The police have taken 442 persons into custody during the last 24 hours for violating quarantine regulations. Accordingly, a total of 42,789 persons have been arrested thus far for such violations. 7 Grama divisions belonging to 3 districts have been isolated from 6 a.m. today. Isolation status has been imposed in 2 Grama divisions in the Jaffna districts, 3 divisions in the Batticaloa districts and 2 Grama divisions in the Kurunegala district. A total of 22,055 doses of vaccines have been administered in the country yesterday. A total of 3,367,220 have received the doses of vaccines under the COVID-19 immunization program thus far. The second dose of the Covishield vaccine has been administered to 44 persons yesterday. Meanwhile, 1,228 COVID-19 patients were detected in the country today. 1,639 patients left hospitals following complete recovery. Total recoveries in the country has increased up to a total of 212,825. 31,743 COVID-19 patients are still receiving treatment in hospitals. Thor, the majestic lion at the Dehivala National Zoological Gardens, has tested positive for coronavirus. And in the meantime, the Health Services Director General confirmed that 65 COVID-19 related deaths were reported on the 22nd. And in the meantime, he also confirmed that 45 COVID-19 related deaths have occurred yesterday. Minister Janaka Bandara Tennakon says that the government has taken steps to provide state service appointments as scheduled amidst the COVID-19 crisis. In a statement to the national television, the minister extended his gratitude for all state sector employees who assisted in this process. More than 14,000 graduates recruited in 2019 have been recruited to permanent posts as development officers. 58,000 graduates recruited in 2020 have been appointed as graduate trainees. 116 persons have been promoted to the Grade 1 category in the Sri Lanka Accountant Services. Another 133 were recruited into the service as well. Meanwhile, 29 officers have been recruited into the Sri Lanka Scientific Services. 54 officers have been recruited to the Sri Lanka Administrative Services based on merits, and another 202 officers are expected to be recruited in the next 2 weeks as well. Minister Janaka Bandara Tennakon said that measures have been taken to appoint 18,000 graduate trainee recruits for the vacancies in the teaching services in rural areas under the instructions of the President. The Minister of Education has also agreed for the relevant proposal. The first phase of the program to initiate 35 organic fertilizer projects in the North Central province was commenced yesterday. The program was conducted in the Appawala area with the participation of Minister S.M. Chandrasena. Financial provisions worth 700 million rupees have been allocated. Even though many issues surfaced at the beginning of the program, those issues can be resolved by the Maha season. Steps have been taken to distribute 800,000 vegetable plants for the public free of charge from the Atampitiya Agrarian Services Centre. The centre has indicated that measures have been taken to distribute the plants among the public with the use of mobile units due to the prevailing situation in the country. The Agrarian Services Centre has instructed the farmers to expedite the cultivation activities with the use of organic fertilizer. And on sports news for tonight, we begin with our special featurette of medal hopes. Dinesh Priyantha Herath is a para-athlete who has recorded many international level victories. He joined the Sri Lanka Army through the Gajaba Regiment in 2004. After inflicting an injury from the LTTE attack while on duty in Kilinochchi on the 16th of December 2008, Dinesh Priyantha involved in para-athletic activities in 2012. Accordingly, he was able to win 8 gold medals at the Sri Lanka Army Para Games and 6 gold medals in the National Para-Athletic Games. Representing Sri Lanka in the international level since 2012, Dinesh Priyantha has won many accolades to the nation in the Asian Games as well as Para-Olympic Games. Minister Namal Rajapaksa has said that 100 athletes in the country will be directed to foreign training for a minimum period of 1 year in the future. Well, that wraps up tonight's Rupavahini English News. Join us once again tomorrow at the very same time. Until then, thanks for watching. Take care. Good night.
Good night.